Yoga with weights, lying supine. This is a good video to explore range of movement and principles of balance and alignment while carrying weight. We will be using kettlebells. Keep it safe. Increase weight as you gain confidence. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video. And please provide me with any feedback. Thank you. Good morning. We're going to do a little bit of supine weight, so lying on the floor and just exploring movements through the arms and through the legs. Carrying a kettlebell is a fantastic choice of weight. It's possible to do the arms with dumbbells as well. But so now let's see if we can lie down, and you can choose what weight you use and build up to make sure whatever it is comfortable. And if we take the weight into the right hand of the body, and so we're just feeling this up and down, we're looking for this line of least work. So we're stacking the weight above the elbow, above the shoulder. And so there might be little bits of movement, which are balance movements, to keep that weight above the shoulder. And just finding that push up and that sink down at the same time. So if we can, we're grounding the shoulder, but extending the arm. And it's also possible to lift up and push up the shoulder off the floor, but that's going to be a bit more work. We'll tire quicker if we do that. So we're trying to find that grounding down. And then we're going to rotate the arm. So turning the fingers till they're facing across the body and just seeing where the edge of that movement is and seeing if we can still find that up and down of the arm, and as straight as possible through the elbow, if that's okay. And then we try to turn the other way as well. So we're twisting and turning that hand, but nice and slowly. So because we're interested in getting to the edge of the movement and then seeing if we can be strong there. We'll do it a couple of times. We're turning inwards, and the fingers facing across the body, and it might roll and rotate into the shoulder, and we're turning outwards as well. And every little movement, adjustment that's happening there is really good. That's the muscles, the body strengthening, stabilizing the arm in that position. And then from here, we're going to go a little further. So we're just going to bring the elbow down really close to the side, as close as you can. Again, we're looking to stack the hand above the elbow. So we don't want to be sort of above the shoulder or somewhere else that's going to be offline. We want to be trying to keep on that spot and seeing again if we can rotate. So the movement of rotation will probably be less down here because with the arm extended, we've got twist and turn of the shoulder as well as the wrist. So having that twist and turn down here, and then see if we can go back up to that extension. So we're really just taking that time. Let's do one more with this arm if we can. And if it gets too strong, you just come down and have a rest. The hand might get a bit tired. We're going to rotate inwards till the fingers are pointing across the body, and then the elbow is kind of pointing wide. And then we're going to try and take the elbow down and wide as high as we can. If you need to spot, you can use the free hand. I'm trying to get that elbow as far away from the hip as possible, as close up towards the head as we can, but still stacking the hand above the elbow. And again, here, just exploring our twist and our turn. And then seeing if we can push all the way back up to that arm extended. And then we'll let that hand have a rest, and we do the same on the other side. So if you're using a lighter weight and the hand sort of feels comfortable, you might want to even double one hand, sort of how much you do. But if the arm gets tired, the weights come down, have a rest if you need. So we've got this stacking the hand above the shoulder, twisting, turning. Just getting used to carrying weight. If we want to do these same simple movements and work a little bit stronger by closing the eyes, you'll bring out more of those micro movements. We do an awful lot of unconscious balancing with the eyes. So by closing the eyes and really sort of feeling into just all the sensation through the body. But if it feels already wobbly, there's no need to close the eyes. It's always more important to keep it safe than to explore to extreme. So we've got as well as twisting, turning, and exploring the edges of those movements there, we're trying to bring the elbow close to the side, so really close into the body as much as possible, trying to relax the shoulder. And then again, as elbows stacked underneath the hand, we're trying to twist and turn, exploring to the edges of the movement. And we're just seeing, can we get strong at the edge of the movement? Can we get aware at the edge of the movement? Still be able to comfortably hold the weight. And then we find our way all the way back. And as over time, that movement will begin to extend. So again, maybe we have another twist and turn with the arm long. And then with the fingers turning in across over the body, pointing over the body, we try to bring the elbow as wide and high as we can. So when the elbow reaches down to the floor, it's far away from the hip. And maybe out to the side or maybe higher than the shoulder. And then we see if we can have a twist and turn down there. If it feels unsafe, you can spot with the free hand. If you feel you can keep it stacked and steady, then all of that work just happening through the one. And so spotting is just keeping it safe. So you keep the weight on top of the hand, on top of the elbow. And let's see if we can push that all the way back up to extension. And then we'll come back into the first hand. So for me, the first hand is the right hand. So carrying the weight in the right hand, we're gonna circle around, just making little circles around that spot, which is directly above the shoulder. Now, the most dangerous place here is if we come inside too far, across the body too far, that's where you might need to spot. If you're going to drop the weight across the body. If we come outside wide and we could bend the arm a little bit, but if we can, we're going to try to make these circles with the arm extended. And if for the weight that you're carrying, it's easy with the circles, and you can make, how we decide if it's easy is, can I make a smooth circle? If I can make a smooth circle, then I would say that's relatively easy for you with this given weight. And then you might try to make the circle bigger. So it's going to test you by going more off that line. And if that bigger circle becomes lumpy or jolty, I suppose is the term, then that's testing you quite a lot. So the idea then is to smooth it out, the movement out as much as you can there. And once that movement is smooth and you can make a steady circle of that size, then with this weight, you can maybe make the circle even bigger still. So we can make it harder by increasing the weight, because that will make our circles joltier sooner, or we can make it harder by making the circles bigger. Let's go back to the other hand and explore those circles here. Cycling around. I really like as well to have, if possible, my fingers all through the handle, but holding actually the bell. So not the kettle handly bit, but holding the bulk of the weight, and the thumb sort of around the side. And that sort of brings a sort of balancy grip, because I'm not really gripping with the fingers. It's more that I'm stacking underneath. It's fine to hold any which way that feels comfortable. But this way sort of keeps the hand quite open and makes it more about being stacked underneath. And also being circling in both directions, which I haven't mentioned on either side yet. So that's a thing that you might sort of explore in each direction with the weight. Let's bring the weight into two hands for a moment. So carrying the weight in two hands, we're going to see, can we bring that weight overhead? So it's fine to bend the arms. I'm trying to keep the weight off the floor. And it's just about sort of feeling the core, a little bit feeling the arms and the shoulders. And we just hold it there for a few breaths, carrying the weight, and then slowly from here, coming all the way back to extended over two arms. Let's try and go the other way. This way, I like to try and keep the arms extended. Again, it'd be fine to bend the arms, but seeing how far we might be able to extend the arms towards over the hips, and then all the way back. And then going again. So if you want to work this stronger, you could keep the arms more extended. If you want to make it gentler, you bend the arms, bring the weight closer towards the head. And something that you might decide to try is to lift the head, but doesn't matter if you want to keep the head on the floor. But if you lift the head a little bit while carrying that weight behind you, then it's really going to work the core, work into that upper core. And then we can come back through center when we're ready and traveling a little bit towards over the hip, or a lot towards over the hip, just to see how far, again, off that line of the shoulders we might be able to carry. And then let's come back all the way back. So sorry, just bear with me. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can roll onto the opposite shoulder. So I'm going to carry the weight in my right hand, which is the first side. And from here, we're trying to see, can we maybe press into the right foot behind, so to roll on top of the left shoulder. As we roll onto the left shoulder, we might bring the right knee in front if we can. So it's a bit like we're reaching into that recovery position, but pushing the right hand wide. So the shoulders are stacked on top of each other. Again, coming back to that first movement of twisting and turning through the arm. And just exploring how steady that is. This is going to be maybe more lively because the shoulder's more lifted. We might also play with bending and straightening the arm. So we might try to bend the elbow in towards the hip, still trying to stack that forearm. So the hand is above the elbow. You could twist and turn down there if you like, and then all the way back up. But that can be a really hard movement to make. Don't worry if you don't get all the way down towards the hip. And then we're trying to roll the shoulder back towards the floor and roll onto the back again. Let's just try and work that a few times. So we're pushing off the leg to come up onto the side, to stack and roll, and side body, pushing that arm tall, maybe twisting, turning. Could have hand, elbow in towards the hip or the shoulder, all the way back up. Just looking to test our movement, to explore the movement, and then rolling onto the back again. And we explore maybe one more time to do that. So by increasing the number of reps, the body gets more tired, the arm, the hand will get more tired. And these movements, when my arm gets tired, I really feel it in the hand, that my hand begins to ache or sort of almost cramp a little bit. And that's a sign that it's beginning to get enough. And then maybe when we're ready, we can try on the other side. So yeah, to take it quite slowly, to really stack the movements. So it's an exploration of movement. So if I'm carrying in the left hand, using the left foot on the floor behind me to help roll onto that right arm, right shoulder. Maybe then the left leg can come in front when I'm on the side, pushing the arm nice and wide, twisting and turning, and just exploring that movement through the shoulder again. It's fine as well if you have maybe one side, one arm can carry a heavier weight than the other arm. It's fine to work different weights. And we've got the elbow maybe going in towards the side. And it's fine to make the movement smaller than what I make. If you couldn't go all the way into the side, you might just bend a little bit and be like, that feels as far as I can go safely. It's absolutely fine. We've got this rolling onto the back again, and just trying to find that transition a few times. Just pushing off the back of the body onto the side and see if we can transition there gently and safely. And then the explorations of bending and straightening the arm, but keeping that lower arm, that forearm, the elbow to the wrist, vertical. That's the key. That's gonna really work the body interesting. Got one more on this side. And then once we've got this awareness of where that forearm is vertical, we can then explore sort of taking things offline. So like we did when we were on the back, we could explore sort of circling around. My weight here is too heavy for me to really circle, but beginning to train little movements off of that center line can be really interesting to begin to bring that strength into the arm, into the shoulder to safely be able to do more one day down the line. So having explored a little bit in the arms, and it could be a great idea to rework the arms a couple of times. But today we're going to go straight into the legs from here. So this carrying with two hands, I put the handle up to the sky and try to point my toes through. It's about getting that weight on top of the foot. And then we're trying to get that shin vertical. So as much as we can, the leg extended, and the free leg can bend, or it can straighten if we're comfortable there. And if we can't get that leg straight or straight thereabouts, because we can work on the fine tuning the end. If we can't get the foot above the hip, then that's a situation where I would use something, ideally a yoga block can be great, a wedge could be great, a firm cushion, or maybe some books or towels folded up. You can put something underneath the sacrum, and that will make it less of a stretch. So you can then hopefully carry a little bit more. So if it's really challenging, reduce the weight down so that you can be comfortable. But the legs are strong, so actually having that extra weight can really help ground and push against. Once we get the leg comfortable, and feel free to keep the other leg bent if you wish. This is extending the back of the knee to the floor, is working it stronger. We just have this point and flex of the foot. So the point of the toes is about trying to get the shin extending and the thigh muscles engaging, firing. And the flex of the foot is about trying to stretch through the back of the knee, through the calf and the hamstring. So we're seeing, can we really work that point as much as we can? Front leg trying to work strong, trying to get that leg extending, then back of the leg extending, pushing the heel up to the ceiling. And it's, I think really, if you've got the shin vertical, it's really unlikely that you'd be able to drop the weight with the flex of the foot there. Then we see if we can twist and turn, still trying to keep that foot above the hip. And this is going to work into that lower back, into the hip, twisting one way, turning the other. Movement will be pretty limited how far you might be able to rotate that leg, but that's what we try to do. And then we've got this sort of complicated bend the knee and fold at the hip. So we're trying to keep that shin as vertical as possible. It's fine to come a little bit offline if need be, but if the more we keep that foot above the knee, the more it's going to extend the back of the body, and then going back up to that extension. So we can work that a few times. And then we're just exploring a little bit off line. So we're going to see, can we go away from the head first of all? And keep it quite small, but how far could I take that foot away from the head? And that's really going to get the front of the leg working, because carrying them from these muscles now. And breathe there for a little bit. And then we see if we could go the other way to stretch into the hamstrings. How far overhead might I be able to go? And here, if it's hard to get the leg there, you might try to pull with the hands. So you're increasing the weight by pulling a little bit with the hands, or it might be that you can support the leg and hang the weight, and that might allow the back of the leg to stretch a little bit more. So just trying to keep it safe and explore the possibilities, not forcing anything. And then let's find our way all the way back. And do the same on the other side. So we swap the legs, and we just go for the same things, this point of the foot. And trying to really see how much we can extend through the front, and if possible even get the thigh muscles firing a bit, and then trying to push up through the heel, flexing the foot, stretching through the back of that leg. Just getting used to the carrying of weight, and then again, just working that a couple times. And really going into the edge of the movement, the edge of that point, and the edge of that flex. So as far as I push that heel up to the ceiling, to feel the sensations that I feel, and An edge could be the movement just doesn't go any further, or it could be that there's sensation. That sensation might build towards, in an extreme situation, pain. But so we don't force our way through that. Let's find our twist and turn, rotating the hip inwards and outwards. We don't push into pain, but we nudge up against sensation, and sometimes strong sensation as well. And just try to breathe and feel and observe and get familiar with the landscape of our range of movement. And in this instance, our range of movement carrying weight on the foot. So let's see if we can draw the knee into the chest. And as we draw the knee in towards the chest, we're trying to keep the back of the knee open enough to keep that shin vertical. And then pushing back up to extension. We can do that a few times. It might be difficult. It might be that the leg is pulled without the knee extending so much. And that's okay, but if we can, we try to open the knee. And then we're going to take that foot a little bit further away, away, away. See how far you might travel that foot away from the head. So you're really getting those muscles in the leg firing all the time, keeping it safe. So never exploring too far with the movement. And also we've got that over the head movement, reaching in, maybe supporting the shin. I really like supporting the shin, but I have quite a range of movement in that hamstring, so it might be easier to sort of hold and pull the weight. It might be that there's a micro bend in the leg. If you can, you're working to the leg extending. And then let's slowly from here find our way all the way back. So we're going to come into the right leg again, doing a bit more on the legs. And we're going to try to draw the right knee into the chest. And then we're going to try and bring that right thigh down to the floor. So we're bringing the knee wide. And to keep the foot above the knee as much as possible, I hold the leg with the hands. We're seeing, can we get that thigh down to the floor? And to do that, I probably have to roll a little bit. So for me, I'm holding the foot now with my hands, holding the shin with my hands. My left bum has come off the floor, and I'll get the right thigh down to the floor. And this can become the point of stability. And stacking from the foot to the knee to the foot. See how much it's possible to roll maybe onto the side. Try to roll onto the side and maybe even bring that left leg around. Keeping that right shin vertical, seeing how close it's possible to hug towards the leg and breathe. And then seeing if it's possible to roll back onto the back. When we begin to roll back onto the back, then we might start pushing that right leg all the way back up to standing, to extending. So we're going to see if we can roll over to the other side. So keeping the weight on the same leg. So for here, I'm bending the left knee sole of the foot down, then rolling the left knee out to the side. The knee doesn't touch the floor yet, but as I roll to the side, it does. And then trying to push that right leg up and wide. And this is quite a tricky one to balance. So it's about keeping it safe and seeing how far it's possible to push that foot wide, 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 maybe to roll onto the belly as much as you can, or onto the left shoulder with the right arm, trying to roll to the belly, but that right leg pushing wide to find an opening through the hips while carrying a little bit of weight. And then from there, again, we could here explore the bend and straighten of the leg. And it can be quite nice eventually to explore that weight carrying over the head, that stretch with a bit of a side. But keep it safe. Safety is the most important thing. So we need to find that we're in balance wherever we reach to, and that we've got enough degree of control. And then let's find our way all the way back onto the back once we're ready to. Also, what we did with the arms was we started circling. So you could also introduce that circling movement with the leg, and this idea of, am I able to keep it steady, or does it become jerky or lumpy in the movement? And we can work that in both directions. And I'm trying to stay grounded, and it's fine if it is jerky and lumpy because we're just learning to balance and to support with this, whichever weight we've chosen to use. If it's too heavy, if you've got choices to go a little bit lighter, or to make the movement smaller if there's not a choice to go lighter. And if it's too easy and you can make a massive movement with the leg, then you might decide if your movement's really big because the weight's not very much for your leg, then you might decide to increase the leg. Let's do all of those movements on the other side. So I'm putting the weight on the left leg. The left leg is extended. So we had this pulling the knee into the chest and then trying to bring the knee wide and holding on to the shin and the foot to make sure that that foot stays as close to above the knee as possible. And we're trying to roll onto the side as much as we need to allow the left thigh to come down to the floor. And here my right bum has come off the floor, holding on to that, seeing how much is possible to roll onto that left side, to maybe hug the right leg into the left leg or hug the right shoulder in towards the left leg, keeping that shin vertical. And as we learn to keep the shin vertical, then we're learning to keep that weight in a place where it doesn't use an awful lot of effort to carry. So we're using the bones, learning to stack the bones. Let's push back up to extend it. To get that leg extended, we're going to explore going into the opposite side. So we're seeing, can we let the right knee be bent? We're going to roll the right knee wide. As we roll that right leg to the floor, we can use that knee into the floor to stabilize a little bit. We're trying to push that left foot up towards the ceiling and stack the left hip on top of the right hip. Maybe we can try to twist as much as we can the upper body to the floor, but that left leg staying above the right hip is the important thing. And from here, we might have an exploration of knee towards the armpit, or trying to work with legs extended. We've got all those options. We can also go away from the head, but be aware that you're less stable when you're on the side body because you've got a smaller foundation, surface of foundation. You can explore those circles there as well, but that's quite hard on the side. So maybe we come back towards the back to explore some circles of that left leg around its midline. If anyone's got a really open body with the vertical work of the leg, you could also explore, but this is deep in the knees and really deep in the stretch to try and tuck that free leg behind you to work that. But that's a little bit extreme. All the movements that we've done, if possible, with this foundation to test anyone who's got a really strong flexibility. Let's release that down. So we're going to bring the weight back down to the floor. That is a really solid and simple foundation for working some weights. And all of this stuff doesn't really run through the spine. It goes straight through the arms and legs into the floor. So it can be really safe, particularly if you have back problems, but it mobilizes and works the shoulders, works the hips. And so that will begin to free the spine. And that can be really valuable for anyone with sort of back issues and getting familiar with weights and strong with weights, just learning to carry and learning how to be really simple with our movement and to be strong with our movement. Thank you for exploring this yoga with weights with me.